So hi everybody, we're back in my favorite place, which is the kitchen. And today, again, I've got Chef Dylan and from Ethical Eats, and I've got Nicci from Reinvent Health. So welcome guys, and yeah, today looks like a real summery meal. Nicci, do you want to tell us more?
Yes, so I mean, all of us, well, most of us know what a mezze platter is. If you go to a Mediterranean restaurant, this is nothing new, but no one really ever thinks about cooking these things at home or making and preparing food, fresh food like this at home. And the reason I really like to encourage my clients to eat this way is because very often you get home from work or it's on the weekend and you're at a loss for something to eat. You're starving at 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we dive into biscuits, we dive into everything we shouldn't be eating.
Yeah, you open the pantry door.
Exactly. And you know, when you look at something like this, it engages all your senses. So this is a rather large display. You could make something up like this on a very small scale, if it's just for 1 or 2 people. And I think eating should be a ritual. It should be pleasurable. There should be a visual element every time we eat. It shouldn't just be grab something out of a packet, because then you don't stop. You just keep going and going, and that's going to ultimately lead to all sorts of problems, weight problems, health problems, because mindless eating, I think, is probably the biggest issue a lot of us face. So when I talk mezze platter, and a lot of people say to me, well, how do I make that? It's like, well, pretty much you can find this anywhere in your fridge. I mean, most of us have feta cheese, and I love to marinate your feta cheese with lots of olive oil and oregano and black pepper. So you get your feta, preferably an organic or a Greek feta, and drizzle quite a lot of olive oil over that feta with the herbs, with the black pepper, and you leave it alone in the fridge for half an hour, and the flavor is quite incredible. It's not just the salty cheese anymore. And there's a lot of health benefits from the oregano, which is antibacterial and antifungal, funnily enough. And don't be afraid of the olive oil. Olive oil is probably one of your most incredible health foods. You want your protein in one form or another. I want healthy fats in here as well, because your proteins and your fats are what make you satisfied. You don't get that in your packet of Oreos, for example. Now your olives and your olive oil are really heart protective and brain protective. There's what we call polyphenols, which is chemicals in olives that are shown to protect the heart, and this is something that can't be patented, so it can't be put in a capsule and sold. It's not viable, so you really need to eat the real thing, which is the whole point here. So a couple of black olives or green olives, and also what you've got here is kimchi. So when you add your pickled veg or your fermented veg with these kinds of things, it excites the taste buds. Things like artichokes are just a superfood in and of themselves, quite expensive, but texturally it's an adventure. And when you start eating like this, at least you're getting a little bit of the healthy carbs, you're getting the healthy fats, you're getting the minerals from the nuts.
And you can experiment. I mean, you don't just have to stick to one cuisine. I mean, like you could go, you could go Mexican and do a Mexican platter, or a Thai platter, or an Italian platter, or Mediterranean platter, for instance, and you could just bring in different flavors, and then people can experiment with different flavors and see what works, and it just helps your repertoire later on. So
and anything, any leftovers you can put on a platter and basically recycle to make it look a whole lot sexier. And you want to eat it because visually it's more beautiful, and it's a good way to get kids to try different things, because if there's a platter of different kinds of foods that children wouldn't normally eat, they're sort of more enticed to just try something they hadn't tried before. And what we want to really do with children and adults is get them to try different foods, because that's how we get our range of nutrition. So this is one of my favorite ways of eating. I could eat like this 3 times a day and not bother with cooking food personally.
It would make a nice breakfast, actually.
It would
a nice continental breakfast.
It would.